together. I've told a few people that Elijah and Jason come to our restaurant quite frequently, and oftentimes when I'm there at the table, I start preaching because it's kind of my nature. And they'll get me going on something, and I'll just go off. And Elijah, last time they were there, were like, "We need to get you up talking in front of CSL again soon." And I'm like, "Whenever you want, no problem." And they called me yesterday and said, "Hi, I have to go down back to Los Angeles. Can you do it tomorrow?" And you have to be careful what you ask for, because then you have this opportunity to stand in the truth of what you actually said, right? So we want all these things. We want to step in. We want to play a bigger game. We want to awaken. We want to be of service. We want to make a difference in the world. And then the universe offers us opportunities to do that. So I'm really grateful for this opportunity. And as I was mentioning to Beth earlier, Saturdays are like my busiest days. So when I got told that this was going to happen, I had no time to prepare. So thank you for holding me in prayer while we do this today. And so I went onto the CSL website because we see that we have these themes, right? We're going deeper. And as Elijah mentioned last week, as a community, we're really good at reaching higher. We're really great at raising the energy and raising that high vibe, and we're really good at that. But the going deeper thing, not to say that we're not good at it, we're good at that too. But that's what we're focusing on. And where you give your attention, that's where your mind's going to go, and that's where your heart's going to go, and that's where your life's going to go. So as we go deep into the silence, as we go deep into prayer, into meditation, into whatever that looks like for you. For me, that looks like going out into nature and doing a really nice long hike. Taking a phrase or a prayer or a mantra out for a walk. I love to take them for walks because they love to go out. They don't want to just be on your cushion in your meditation space, however beautiful that might be. So we go and we take it out into nature, and especially this time of year, right? Because everything is greening. When I was a young person, I lived on Long Island, and so we have real winter there. For those of you who grew up here, you don't know real winter. So it was cold, it was rainy, it was icy, it was gray. And then all of the sudden, as if there was a God, forsythia would start blooming. Yellow flowers. They're like the evil acacia here, but they don't make you all like snotty. And crocuses are popping up out of the snow. These flowers would start blooming, and I would, in the inimitable words of Bambi, get Twitter-pated. So I just get Twitter-pated. I'd be like, oh my God, look at it. And I still do that when I go out and I'm looking and I'm seeing all these things blooming. And I'm thinking about our world and our country and what's going on and all this stuff that can make me, quite frankly, a little upset, frustrated, sad, pissed off, full on pissed off. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But then I go out into the woods and I see these things blooming. And as our dear friend and mentor and teacher, Deborah Johnson, often says, both of these things can be true at the same time. We can be pissed off and in absolute, ridiculous joy. And it is, one of my favorite quotes by Helen Luke, it is our responsibility to be joyous. Not when it doesn't feel authentic. Obviously, do that when it feels authentic, but don't let what's going on in the world keep you from that joy. You know, we sang a song here before. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it. The world can't take it away, right? This peace that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This love that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This strength, this courage, this compassion, this loving kindness, they're not going to take it away from us because we know the truth that that's who we actually are, right? When we're saying, I am remembering who I am earlier, you know, who are we? We are that, and Wendy said it so beautifully, there's only one life, from Ernest Holmes. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. I want to lean into that. What if all that's going on in our world right now is perfect? Because that's what we say. And that's what we say that we believe. So if it's all perfect, okay. So this is perfect. So, it's on a need-to-know basis, right? God apparently doesn't need for me to know why whatever is upsetting my sleep or my digestion is perfect. Like maybe I don't need to know that right now. But I do have to trust that right now. And I have to go, okay, I may not like how things are unfolding. I may not like how the trajectory that I think in my mind that things are going to happen. But what if I change my mind? What if I believed all those affirmations that we say in the beginning for our country? What if I said, yeah, no, that is the truth. And we're just in a little moment of confusion right now. And so then if I hold to that, and if I know that to be true, then I don't have to get upset. That doesn't mean I sit on my cushion and just go, it's all good and it's all perfect. No, I get up and I do what's required of me to do to create that perfection. Because this thing we call God, that can be problematic. Because we think it's something outside and we think it's something that's separate. Some of us do. Some of us don't. Some of us are very clear. No, we are a part of that thing that we call God. That God doesn't exist without us either. So we are adding to God's experience by standing up for what we believe in, for what we know to be true. So when we go out and whether that means going to a protest, thank you for all who went last week. God bless you. We were singing in choir. We had a rehearsal. It was great. We sang in protest. See, you can do it every kind of way. You can go out and march in the streets. You can give money to AOC and Bernie Sanders. I suggest it. But that's just a suggestion of mine. You can plant new bulbs. You can plant a sequoia in your backyard as an act of resistance, or as an act of not resistance, of sustenance. Let's be sustainers, okay? So let's be sustainers of our democracy. Let's be sustainers of our consciousness. Like, we don't want to be held hostage. I had so many other things I thought I was going to say, but, you just start talking. So right now, we are in a beautiful liturgical time. I went to seminary, folks, so forgive me. And I'm also a Sufi, and our Sufism is this universal Sufism. So last night was the first night of Passover. So we're in a week of Passover for people who celebrate that. What are we celebrating? We're celebrating the release of slavery, the liberation. We're celebrating the liberation of a people we can also be celebrating the liberation of our minds from the limiting thoughts, the limiting beliefs, and the limiting vision. So we want to have limitless freedom, as my Sufi teacher says. That is the goal, limitless freedom. And that means of the body, of the mind, of the spirit, of finances, of relationships, all the things, limitless freedom. Also, today, for those of you playing the home game, it's Palm Sunday. So Palm Sunday was the day that Jesus said to all his friends, guess what? It's time to get real. He rode in to Jerusalem knowing that that was probably the worst place for him to go. But it was the perfect place for him to go. So sometimes it's uncomfortable where God calls us to go. And we have to go anyway, because it's what we're being called to do. So as we go into this next week in the Christian world, where it's called Holy Week. So we have this whole week where we're celebrating this teacher who, I have to say, when I was a teenager, something happened to me, or maybe it was in my early 20s. I said, oh, the only difference between Jesus and all the rest of us is he knew who he was, and we've all forgotten. Like, he knew that he was a child of the Most High, of the universe, of whatever you want to call it. He knew that. And I believe, my theology tells me, that he came here to teach us to the same thing. I mean, he said it all through the whole Bible. All this and more, and you shall do, right? So we're here, and whether we identify as Christianity, I was talking to somebody earlier before. I was talking to Emily, and we were saying that, I was raised in a Christian household. I had lots of wounding going on as a teenager, but I healed that. And I don't have any wounding around that particular tradition. I understand if you do. And if you want to have a conversation, I'd love to talk to you about it. But Jesus is just all right by me. And we'll sing that song someday. But we are here. So the Holy Week is all about getting to this Easter, right? This resurrection. But before we can have a resurrection, we've got to have a crucifixion and a descent. So all those bulbs that we planted in the ground in November, we had to put them down there before they could arise as tulips and daffodils and hyacinths. They needed to be nurtured in the dark. So we're being nurtured in the dark right now in some of the things that are going on in our world. So we don't have to be afraid of that. And if you are afraid of that, we've got you. Because there's plenty of us who, for whatever crazy reason, are still believing in that rainbow connection. We are the lovers and the dreamers. And we're not going to be held hostage, and we're not going to be afraid. And if you are afraid, come and find one of us who isn't. And we will hold your hand. And we will make you a cup of tea. And we will be in this all together as we prepare the soil for the new life that is on its way. There is a new life that is waiting for each and every one of us to step in and step out and be more bold and be more visible and be more fabulous. And we get to choose to what that looks like. And we get to be in partnership with a power and with a presence that is so much bigger than we are. And yet, as we say, it is who we are. So we are one with that divine presence. It's always with us. And when we forget, that's why we come to places like this. To remind each other, to look at each other, to sing together, and to go, wow, look Oh, how beautifully God does manifest in each and every one of you. I'm going to say one last thing before we go into a little time of meditation and prayer again. Papa Ramdas, who is a saint in India, in the Indian tradition, one of the gods who, by the way, it's very much the Jesus story. Things were going badly. God Vishnu said, I'll go. So Vishnu incarnates as Ram. I think it's kind of similar to that Jesus story. You know, God looked down and said, oh, things are going a little wonky. Would you mind? I'll go. Hineni, here I am. I will go. Moses says this. All the great teachers say, here I am. I'll go. I'll go. So Ram comes down. He's there, and all things happen. It's Ramayana, it's a long story. But Ram is this incarnation of the one who's come to serve humanity. So Papa Ramdas saw everything as Ram. Everything as Ram. When a tiger came out into the forest where he was meditating, oh, Ram, what an interesting form you've taken. When, so we can, when things arise in our life or in our world, oh, beloved, what a fascinating form you have chosen to take to awaken me to the truth of who I am. Right? So let's leave room for a little joy. Let's leave room for a little levity. Let's leave room for rainbows, for gosh sakes. And let's see that rainbow in each and every one of us as we move through this world, each of us doing the work that we're called to do, to make our world the world that we are dreaming of love, harmony, beauty, strength, courage, compassion. Let's take a deep breath and close our eyes if you feel like it. And feel yourself supported. Feel yourself supported by your chair. Feel yourself supported by this community. And feel yourself supported by that one life. And you know that you can breathe easier, breathe deeper. Breathe because you are being breathed from the moment you said yes to this incarnation. From the moment you said, from the oneness of all beingness, I'm ready. This is the time that I want to live. I want to be here for this. Because I have just the right gift. I have just the right consciousness. I have just the right vision to be of service in this time, in this place. And when I forget that I said yes, please, beloved, remind me. Remind me in the voices of my friends, in the struggles with my frenemies. Remind me who I am. And as I am reminded, and as I am healed, and as I am awakened, that energy goes out before me to remind and awaken and heal all the people that I come into contact with. And together we create a wave of love, a wave of peace, a wave of joy that is irresistible. And as each and every one of us ride that wave, we feel the earth and all of her creatures in that joy with us. And so we know that all of these things are true. We know that we came here for such a time as this. And we are so grateful. So we hold to the vision, but we also let it go, knowing that all is well, all will be well, all manner of things is well. And so it is.